I don't think you're all ready for this. Hello friends, welcome back to Francesca's Books. My name is Francesca, these are my books, and here we talk about all things thriller books, and today I have a huge book haul. I'm not quite sure how I've accumulated this many books in the last few weeks. Just a caveat, this was not like one big shopping spree, that would be the dream. So we have a kind of big Amazon haul, whoops, a With the Works haul, a independent bookshop haul, a PR haul, oh, and a car boot sale haul as well. That was so random. I literally just went one day and I got 3 amazing books, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So the majority of these I haven't read already. There is a few that I've just picked up from independents and charity shops that I have already read, mainly just to like show you guys on videos. Like, I know it sounds so superficial, but it makes a huge difference, especially over on like TikTok and Instagram. Like, those guys need the visual, you know? Here we're just like chat about books, etc. But over there they're like bam 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 bam. So an odd couple I can give you my opinion on, but the majority of them I would like your opinion on to tell me where I should start. Let's start with box 1. Okay, so the first 4 in this haul are summer thrillers that I have bought to read like over the next few weeks. I am so, oh my god, I'm so excited. I'm going to Madeira in the middle of June for like nearly 2 weeks, which is going to be incredible. I do like a little bit of work, but it's mainly just a vacation. So these books were kind of tailored towards that trip. But, you know, I kind of mix it up, like still, even when I go away, I don't really stick to a TBR. But they're summer thrillers, summer vibe, and it's even been really warm in the UK recently. So I'm in my summer mood. I think everybody can probably relate to that. So the first book is The Vacation by John Mars, because this author, this guy, he's never failed me, like literally ever. I've never read a bad book by this author. So I thought I would get his Vacation style thriller. Now this is on the longer side, and I think that's maybe why I've been hesitant in the past to pick it up. It is nearly 500 pages. However, I just feel like I'm gonna like it. I don't know, just get a vibe. Maybe it's just the whole aesthetic of it. More importantly, this follows 8 strangers who go to Venice Beach in LA, and they flock to a hostel apparently, but they all have secrets, and I think it's going to be a bit of a he said she said, whose secret's going to get revealed, etc. It also says it's perfect for fans of T.M. Logan, and his book The Holiday was fantastic. Next, on the same kind of lines, we have The Resort by Sarah Ox. I think that's how you say her name. And this one is set in Thailand. So this woman goes to this like little tiny remote island off Thailand, bit of a mouthful, and she is like a dive instructor. And then when the first person goes missing, she's like, and then when the second person goes missing, everyone's going to start turning on each other. This is exactly the vibe I'm after when I want a summer thriller, but more often than not, when they do these style books, they're just not good. So I thought they can't all be bad, like one of them somewhere has to be really good when it's set at like a destination. My other biggest pet peeve with summer thrillers is that the actual incident or whatever's happened takes place when the main characters are on holiday, and then they come back to England, and I'm like, no! I'm sat by the pool like, no! And it's literally like the first 10 pages of the holiday vibes, so oh my god, I really hope this isn't that. Then next is a book that has been recommended to me by my lovely Izzy. She read it as part of like a book tour. It wasn't even released at the time. She was like, when this publishes, like, you really need to get your hands on it. So I'm nothing if not loyal to my friends. And the book is The Cliffhanger by Emily Freud. Oh, Freud. Oh, if you know, you know. Bet that's a pseudonym. So when this was recommended to me as a summer thriller, I was like, are you kidding? Like, this... we're not looking like a summer thriller here. Apparently it is. So this follows a couple of writers who are from New York, and they are literally a couple, and they are thriller writers, and they're getting into a bit of a writing slump, and I think issues in the marriage. So they're exiled, is what it says on the synopsis, to the south of France to like regain their love for reading and love for each other. But then by the sounds of it, one of them wants out of the writing life. And then I think this is the final summer thriller that I've got my hands on. Our Holiday by Louise Candlish. And do you know, I've never read anything by this author before, and I've actually met her as well, so I feel quite bad. But I don't know what it is. I think her thrillers are a little bit more serious, and that's maybe why I've never gravitated towards them. She's very much in like the Lisa Jewell-esque category of thrillers, but probably like a touch more. Probably doesn't even make sense. But this one stood out to me as it's like a love and a rich people drama. We know I love that, but set abroad. Actually, it's not set abroad, it's just set in their like second home, I think somewhere in on the seaside in England, but it's giving the same vibe. So these 2 married couples, they go to their second home and they're having a great time, but then like the neighborhood and the neighbors are a bit like, this is our permanent home, like who do you think you are, like coming here and just spending time in your holiday home. I really like the vibe of this book, like the cover it's shouting to me to be read. And the final summer thriller, I've just seen that I ordered one more, is His First Wife by Sue Watson, and this is part of the Thrills and Chills book club that I'm doing with Tandem Collective, and this is the very last pick, so this is June's read. This has been such a fun project to be a part of. I'll pop a link to their channel if you want to go and have a look, but every month I've been talking about a different book for the last 6 months. That is a Thomas and Mercer publication, so they are the imprint of Amazon Publishing with everything thrillers. So this book is set in Sicily and follows this woman who meets the perfect man. She has a little holiday romance, she's happy days, and then finds out his first wife went missing. Is she being paranoid, or is nothing about her new life really what it seems? It's so dramatic, isn't it, on the synopsis? But this sounds really good. I'm definitely going to give this a read over summer, probably quite shortly. Next is an obvious book that I picked up recently, and it is The Tenant by Frida McFadden. I got the sprayed edge version from The Works. I will leave the link to that in the description of this video if you guys want to go and check it out, because it is like a The Works exclusive. This isn't an ad, but I just wanted to tell you guys because I got quite a lot of comments across everything like, where did you get that sprayed edge? And I'm like, girl, same, trust me, same. I would like it too. So I've actually already read this one. This was part of this same haul, but obviously I just read it like on release day, like immediately, like I couldn't resist. And it follows this guy called Blake, and he's been fired from his really high up job, so he's suddenly got no money, and he lives on the Upper West Side in New York. So he's like, hang on, how am I going to pay the rent? So him and his fiance decide they're going to get a housemate. So she's got her own room upstairs and everything, and they start interviewing, and they're like, this woman is like the only woman who seems like relatively normal. So they take her, and she starts causing carnage. I think this is definitely one of Frida McFadden's better books. I actually had a really good time with this one, honestly, and I do think if you're going to pick up one of her more recent releases, it should be this one. And on the theme of new releases, I also got Such Quiet Girls by Noelle Illy, and I really like this author. There is another... spoilers! I got another book by this author as well in the same part of the same haul. It is As for Andrea, and I've already read this one and absolutely loved it. This is like a paranormal thriller where 3 women who've been unalived by the same serial killer they basically come back to make sure that he doesn't unalive anyone else, and they are savage. This is giving like big like boss girl energy, so I love this, so decided to pick up her new release as well. This has literally just come out. However, I've heard that this is a wonderful thriller. I've heard really good things, really positive reviews, but I don't think it's like a classic psychological thriller with loads of twists. I think it's more of a story, and when I read a book and I don't know that going in, and my expectation is there's going to be loads of twists and it's going to be really like plot driven, then I get disappointed when it's not. But the fact I know this going in, I feel like I'm going to have a much better time with it. So it follows a group of students who are held captive on their school bus, and it's told from the point of view of the kidnapper, one of the students who's on the bus, and I think one of the parents who is like trying to work out what's happened to them. I feel like this is going to be one that's quite moving. I just get a good feel. Next, I picked up What Have You Done by Shari LaPenna. This is not her next release that's due out in July. It is her latest release before that, and it has only just come out in paperback, so I've picked it up. I haven't read it yet because I didn't want to read it in hardback. I won't pick you like that. And when I saw it was coming out of paperback, I was like, oh, this is a nice sign. I am also very slowly, do not get your hopes up soon, working my way through Shari LaPenna's backlist. I've probably read about half of her books now, and this looks like it's going to be a really good one just based on the cover, because her more modern covers like just really appeal to me more, and I feel like the more books Shari LaPenna releases, the better they get. I feel like she's definitely one of those authors. A lot of the time these authors like really peak really early, but another one that I can recommend is Mary Kubica for this. Her earlier stuff, I'm a bit like, her more recent stuff, I'm like, this is Shari LaPenna's book that came out just before this one, and do you see what I mean about the covers? And I loved this. The synopsis doesn't give much away about this one, but it does just say that a girl is promised to come home for her curfew and she never makes it, and she's found in a field by a farmer. A lot of Shari LaPenna's books are very like small town, everyone knows everyone, everyone's a suspect, and sometimes like you just crave that. Okay, next I'm going to tell you about 3 books that are a little bit different. So I recently went to a car boot sale, and it was so random. I don't even know why I went. I've never been to one and never really had the appeal, but you know when you get something in your head and you're like, I really want to go and do that. So me and my boyfriend spent Saturday morning before we went and saw family just like having a wander around, looking for bits for the house, and I had no idea they could be so good for books. Don't get me wrong, a lot of them were battered and a lot of them were classics, and there was a lot of like cloth bound like classic stories. I don't really know how she would explain it, but there was a couple of really good stands. So I picked up these 3 books for 50p each. The first one I've already read, and it is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. I really like this. It was set at a summer camp and it was giving big summer vibes. This woman who went there as a child came back like 15-20 years later, and when she was there previously as like a teenager, her like bunkmates went missing, and then when she comes back, surprise surprise, people go missing again. I also got Look in the Mirror by Catherine Steadman. I've only read one other book by this author and it was okay. It was like huge rich people drama, but almost in like a mystery way, not in like a, almost like a Cluedo style book, and I'm not a huge fan of those, but I thought I'd give this author another go with this one. And it follows a woman who inherits a holiday home, so we can kind of add this to the summer thrillers maybe. And it follows another woman who is nannying for someone in the same neighborhood. And I also picked up A Twisted Love Story by Samantha Downing, and this author is so good at doing like thrillers with romance, or romantic thrillers, like however you want to phrase it, as you can probably tell by the cover. So this follows a very toxic relationship, as you can imagine. When they're good, they're great, and when they're bad, they're horrendous. And now they have to stick together to talk themselves out of an unaliving they committed on one of their worst nights. This is very much giving My Lovely Wife vibes, and I'm so here for that. I've also been loving Gillian McAllister's books recently, which you guys have probably noticed. They've been in a few wrap-ups, and I've vlogged a few, specifically Famous Last Words. This was wonderful. So I reached out to the publisher and was like, can you send me some more? They were like, yeah. So I got That Night by Gillian McAllister, and I think this is actually another summer thriller, you know, during a family holiday in Italy. But this feels like an accident happens on holiday and then they come home and deal with the consequences type summer thriller. So this follows 2 sisters, and one of them unalives a man with her car by accident, and she calls the other sister and they are trying to get out of this situation. And then the final book in this box is from my lovely friend Rachel. She put, enjoy lovely, I love you lots. You too, babe. And it is by the wonderful A.R. Torre. I have been loving this author. The Last Party was a straight 5-star from me, and one of the only 3 5-star books I've rated this year. So sometimes Rachel and I will be like, do you want this? Like, you know, like if you've got books on your shelves, like this is my whole TBR bookcase. And sometimes I'm just like having a bit of a clear out, like, do you want this? Do you want this? And she's like, oh yeah. So we kind of just book swap all the time. And this is the most recent one that she sent me. I just sent her like an Andrea Mara one, and she was over the moon. So the rest of A.R. Torre's books that I've read so far are all standalones, and I believe this is the start of a 3-book series about a woman who goes and helps people who are in trouble. Like a female Spider-Man maybe. Okay, but add in an extra layer. I'm not sure if I can even say this, you know, on camera without YouTube blocking me, but this is what she does. Okay, I don't know. I don't think I can say that. I think I might get blocked. But there you go. She sounds like an absolute slay. I'm very excited to read this. Box 2. So the next 2 are books that I have already read and absolutely loved. I actually read these quite a long time ago. They're on Kindle Unlimited. And I constantly get asked for recommendations where I know either one of these would be like perfect. But since I don't have a physical book, it just lacks something on my other channels, as I mentioned. And also at this point, these are just trophy copies because I rated them both 4.5, so I mean, what do you mean they're not on my shelves? So they are both by Lucinda Berry. The first one is The Secrets of Us, and oh my god, this was just so good. This follows 2 sisters, and one of them is a lawyer, and the other one basically unalived her husband by accident, and the other sister now has to like cover it up. Chef's kiss, beautiful, wonderful, loved it. Actually, maybe it's a 5, you know. And the second one, with the exact same enthusiasm, is The Best of Friends by the same author. And this had the same, like, gut punch, like, family, emotional backing behind its story. And it follows 3 best friends. They've grown up together, and now they have kids. And they all had a son within, like, a year of each other. So they're all a really similar age. They've grown up together, and then one day there is a tragic accident. And one of them is unalived. One of them is left in a coma, and the other one is just too traumatized, like he can't even speak. He goes completely mute. And this story follows exactly what happened to the boys on that night, and from the parents' point of view, and some from the boys' point of view, if I remember it correctly. But this ending, if you want a book with like loads of plot twists and loads of like really intense action, and you don't know when it's going to come, and this is out of left field, this probably isn't the book for you. I feel like this is more of a story with an emotional grip on it style thriller. And on the same note, actually, I'm currently reading 1 in 4 by Lucinda Berry, and this is wonderful as well. This has literally just come out literally a couple days ago, and I've nearly finished it already. I am vlogging this for you guys, so you'll be able to see it very soon. And speaking of advanced copies, I've also got Peter Swanson's Kill Your Darlings. I am very excited for this one as well. This one comes out in July this year, so I'm going to try and get this read before release day so I can tell you guys whether it is worth picking up. I've only read one other Peter Swanson book, which was The Kind Worth Killing. I didn't actually read The Kind Worth Saving as well, which is the sequel to that, which directly follows on, despite loving the first one, so maybe I'll have to pick that up as well. But this follows a married couple, as you will be very surprised by the wonderful wedding ring on the cover, and a horrible, horrible accident, tragedy, I'm not sure, happens at the start of this book, and then you go back in time to like the start of their relationship. I think it's on a backwards timeline, so you kind of understand how they've got to the point they are at today. And the final advance copy that I picked up recently is The Wasp Trap by Mark Edwards. This is also due for release in July, so another one I'm going to try and get a wiggle on and give this a full review before it comes out. This one sounds really, really good. It's about some college students who created like an online dating website when they were in university or college. Not sure if it's UK or US, and it was basically a complete flop. It was a fail, and I think it turned out like caused quite a lot of consequences from it, so they kind of tried to bury it. And then 25 years later, it comes back and they all are summoned to this like big dinner, and there is obviously a surprise guest. I also picked up another Andrea Mora book, so I got All Your Fault by this author. I haven't read this one yet and I'm so excited. I am loving Andrea Mora, like she is really hitting the spot for me. I think there's just something for me which I just really click with how this author writes, the pacing of her books, the number of characters. Like sometimes an author just like hits a spot, do you know? And that is Andrea Mora for me. This follows a woman who goes to pick up her son from a play date, and not only is her son not there, the mum who she dropped him off with is also not there, and nobody knows about anything to do with them whatsoever. Isn't that just like a parent's worst nightmare? And then the last 6, yes, I have 6 more books to tell you about, are all from The Works. I recently did a pretty big haul from there. I will pop the link above. I went book shopping at The Works, and then I read some of these books as well in that video, so if you're interested you can go and check that out. I'm also doing a little bit of a collaboration with The Works at the moment, so if you use my code and go and shop on their website, I do get a very, very small commission off it. I don't know all these technical terms, I'm just a girl. But if you want to go and support me, then feel free. Their books are crazy, crazy low price, and because I've just shopped with them genuinely for years and years, it was just a very natural process for them to work with me. Now I am content creating full time. So there you go, enough of the spiel, let's get back to the books. The first book I got was The Truth About the Devlins by Lisa Scottoline, and I have been recommended this author as opposed to this book, but this book of course was in The Works. It was like £2.50 or £3, so I just grabbed it on the thought that I'm probably gonna like it. Well, I've just realised as well I have another book by this author that I picked up when I was in America. It's interesting how the covers differ. I don't know, I love that US cover. These are actually 2 different books. So this is What Happened to the Devlins, this is What Happened to the Bennets. I'm actually not sure if they're linked, to be quite honest, but I will let you know in due course. I also got Girl Forgotten by Clarence Slaughter, and on my video where I bought this book, you guys were very kind to tell me that this is the second book in a like duology by this author, so I'll probably park this one until I read the first book, because I feel like it's just a disservice to read books like this out of order. I've been dying to read Steve Kavanaugh's Eddie Flynn series, and when the new books come out I'm like, oh, I want to read it, but then I'm also like, if I don't go back and read them in order, then it's just a disservice to the characters. Is that a little bit too deep? I don't know. And then I also got What the Wife Knew by Darby Kane, which I have again vlogged in this video, and spoiler, it was not my favourite book of the year. It wasn't bad, but it also just wasn't anything to write home about. I think I ended on like a 2.5, a 3. I think the cover makes this look like it's going to be something it's not, and I don't know, it just missed. I don't really know what else to tell you about that, just missed. I also picked up The Secret Mother by Shalini Boland, and I have not read this one yet. I've read 2 Shalini Boland books before, one I loved and one I hated, so don't know where I'm going to sit on the fence with this one. I will let you know. So this follows a woman who goes into her kitchen one day and there is just a little boy there, and she has no idea who he is, how he got there, and then even worse, the police are like, you've kidnapped him. She's like, what? I just came home to him. The one thing I will say about Shalini Boland's books is they are short and they are twisty. I think she gives like quite big Frida McFadden vibes, the same way that Frida McFadden's a bit hit and miss. I get the same from this author. And then, unsurprisingly, I actually got 2 books from a different genre. I know. And it is 2 romance books, obviously. So I got You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry, and I've already read this, and oh my god, I loved it. This is one of my favourite romance books probably of all time. Like, it was such an easy read. It was fantastic. It was obviously big summer vacation vibes, which I loved. I think I ended on like a 4.5. It wasn't like a 5-star read, but it was brilliant. So definitely recommend that if you're in the market for romance books. And then I also picked up A First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, and only because I have seen so many people reading and loving this. Sometimes, you guys know, I do like a little romance palette cleanser, so when this one kept coming up everywhere and was only, I think, £5 or £6 in the works, I was like, yes, I'm gonna grab that. So this follows a guy, I think, who has a radio show about falling in love. And then one day our female main character's daughter rings up and is like, can you find some of my mom? And then she's like, no, no. And then they keep talking. Now I'm thinking about that concept. It's got a fantastic review, so we will see. And then I thought we were done, but I actually bought 2 hardbacks as well. So firstly, I bought this one from a lovely independent bookshop near where I live, and it is Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. I've seen nothing but positive reviews for this. Now, I don't think it's a thriller. I think it's more of a story with a mystery thrill aspect. So again, just managing expectations on that. Aside from that, I don't know much more about it apart from every single person I've seen has given it 5 stars. And it is, well, the basic concept is that there's this woman telling this story, and she's married now, and she also had a childhood love, and one of them does something really bad, and you're getting flash forwards to them in court, but you're not sure who she's defending, like which of her loves she's defending. And then the very last book on this 25 book haul, incredible, I know, is Whistle by Linwood Barclay, and this is a horror book. Now, I know it's summer, and I don't know if it's the season for horror, but I was intrigued, so I grabbed it. This feels like a classic horror film type story where this woman loses her husband in an accident, and then in the processes of grief thinks she is going crazy and seeing things, but are they actually happening? Is it paranormal, or is it like grief playing tricks on her? So like, she has a son, and when she's going into his bedroom, she's like, I didn't leave those toys there. Those sorts of vibes. So I am not even going to attempt to lift up all those books and be like, here's my haul, because there is too many. I'm flooded, I'm surrounded. There is worse problems to have, my friends. However, those are the 25 books that I have hauled recently. If there are any picks in there that you're like, immediately read, please tell me. I would love to know. And as always, if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I cannot wait to see you next time.